when it comes to getting better trade agreements, well, the calculation that was done with the countries that were listed, it was simply the exports minus the imports divided by the imports. So it wasn't a measure of tariffs that other countries were putting. It was simply a measure of the trade deficit. That's why you look at, for example, Australia that has a trade surplus has the same, with America, has the same 10% that Britain has. So there's a kind of, it doesn't seem like there's a solution there. The real sort of jury is out still question is around China. China is, disproportionate numbers in terms of import-exports to the U.S. or exports to the U.S. If it goes to 104%, that's going to be the collapse of a third of the global GDP in terms of trade, and the impact will be monumental.
Right, and this is the point here, is whereas smaller countries who perhaps don't necessarily have stronger, broader political relations with the United States may just choose to take it on the chin or at least try to negotiate. It's different when you're talking about the EU and China.
Yeah, it's entirely different. Also, let's if we're talking about China, China is not just dealing with a trade partner here. They're dealing with not only an economic rival, but a geopolitical rival as well. So China capitulated or conceding to Trump's threats doesn't just have trade impact, it has a larger political and geopolitical impact. And there's no indication that China will do that. China also, unlike the U.S., has really diversified the number of countries. There's countries across Southeast Asia. They have a hegemonic role in Latin America as trade partners with 54 countries in Africa. They have a much more diverse range, especially with their Belt and Road Initiative, diverse range of countries that can absorb that hit. In a way, I mean, if you just look 4 hours ago, Citibank in the U.S. Said the total annual impact of 104% tariffs against China on the Chinese economy would be a total of 0.5%, from 4.7% to 4.2%. That's negligible, really, when it comes to the impact it could have on the U.S.
Ashok Kumar, thank you very much indeed.